hello, everyone. I'm Jason Beck. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Azra AI. And I'm so fortunate to have Mimi Taylor here from ECG Management Consultants. Mimi, you're our Oncology Hero this month. Welcome. It's wonderful to have you.
Thank you so much, Jason. I mean, I mentioned to you when I got your note, I went, wow, me? It was just such a great honor. And I really appreciate the recognition. So thank you.
You're so welcome. And I think that speaks volumes about you, Mimi, the humility that you accepted that. Yes, you, a woman who's had an amazing career, remarkable impact on healthcare and how it's delivered. So we'll get into that. But I wanted to ask just a few kind of warm-up questions, if you will. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your career so far to date?
Sure, would love to. Well, as you know, I'm a principal with ECG Management Consulting in the Health Transformation Division. I specialize in all things digital and AI in terms of strategy and enablement, raising awareness about the importance of technology to healthcare organizations and cancer centers across the country. Prior to that, I had a couple of years of doing my own consulting experience, but really, I guess my claim to fame, so to speak, is working for Baptist South Florida for 30 plus years, 28 of those as the CIO. I wasn't just involved in technology. I did a lot in mergers and acquisitions, was very immersed in operations, which is near and dear to my heart. And I think one of the greatest things that I ever experienced at Baptist was being able to be part of the development, opening, and support of the Miami Cancer Institute, which is part of Baptist Health. Prior to that, I was in other consulting roles, so I kind of went full circle. So
Did
that's pretty much my
Mimi,
career.
did you grow up in Florida or what? No, where?
No, no, no. I actually grew up in New York City. And so I was in the Bronx. And so I learned, yes, so I learned a lot about street smarts very early in life. And then ended up going to college at Boston College. And then ultimately made my way to Fort Lauderdale. I'll date myself in 1988. I was very young back then. And I've been a Floridian ever since.
That's incredible. So you have this kind of really interesting background in the Bronx. You decide to move to Florida, to Fort Lauderdale. What was it that influenced you to go into healthcare? Did you go immediately into healthcare after your undergraduate degree, or?
No, actually, it's a long story, but I'll make it very short. My passion going off to school was actually in languages.
Hmm.
And so my undergrad was all Italian, French, Spanish, Russian, all of that, German. Thought I wanted to be in the CIA and be an ambassador. Until sophomore year in college, I got an internship at Cooper's and Lybrand. And back then, in those days, it was, DBase and WordStar and all these things. And a very nice person pulled me over and said, "Hey, would you like to learn something about computer accounting and maybe go off to training over the summer to learn about this?" I said, "Oh, that sounds pretty cool. I'll do that." And so after that, pretty much when I moved to Fort Lauderdale and went to work for Ernst& Young, the opportunity was in healthcare consulting.
Right.
I had 30 clients on the Eastern Seaboard, and I worked in finance mostly, but I had the opportunity to start working on the floors and just kind of seeing everything in action. And I thought, oh, finance is great, but I love technology and the thought of bringing that to help physicians, clinicians, patients, something just grabbed me and said,
Yeah.
I need to be doing this. This is what I'm meant to do.
It's so cool that that was such an express and impactful moment that you knew that that was kind of your calling on your life. And it's neat too, like when you talk about the languages, like you must have seen like your first exposure to technology with those DBase or and the other programs. It was a language in and of itself, and so it's about maybe accomplishing something through another language. It must have really resonated with you like that. I would expect.
Yes, yes, Jason. It's amazing that you said that because when I interviewed with Ernst and Young, I remember the manager during the interview, he said, I don't understand. It's like, you're a language major. You did some work at Coopers and Lyran. What makes you think that you're qualified to come into this program development area and help us build systems and implement systems in all these different healthcare companies? And I said, well, computers are just another language. And
That's it.
so you nailed it. That is exactly how I got the job.
That's so cool. I wonder, do you ever think about that gentleman, having what by all accounts a incredibly successful career? I mean, almost 28 years as a CIO at one of the largest health systems in Florida. Do you ever think about that person and go, I did all right?
Yes, yes. So the person I was just talking about at Ernst and Young, actually, that was when before Baptist, where he did,
Yeah.
and I was only there for a couple of years. But I have to reflect just for a moment because what you just asked is really so important, and really the individual who was my mentor still is, and is still one of my best friends. And if it's okay, I'm going to say his name, and that is Mr. Ralph Lawson. Ralph was the CFO and executive vice president for Baptist Health for many, many years. He's the chairman of the board for Catholic Health Services, does a lot of work in Leukemia Lymphoma Society. And just, he took me under his wing at a very young age and said, I know you're capable of growing with us through mergers and acquisitions, and he really took a chance on me. And I have to say to everyone out there, don't be afraid to take a chance on young folks who really display the interests and capabilities to, really want to do a great job for your organization, because they bring a tremendous amount of talent. And I can't say enough great things about Ralph and just, what he did for my career and for my family. Forever grateful.
That's wonderful. What would you say motivates you daily in your work? I mean, you've been supporting healthcare and building systems for many years.
Mhm.
So it's been an ongoing mission in your life. What is it that motivates you to still get up and do that?
Thank you, Jason. I mean, I'm a very self-motivated person. My parents, God bless them, they taught me at a very young age that nothing was ever handed to them on a silver platter. They put themselves through school and just they came from nothing.
Yeah.
Um, and they instilled in me and my brother, if you have a passion for something, go after it, do it with all of your heart and soul, and do it right. Do it to
Mm.
the best of your ability. Um, if someone tries to sway you to do something that you don't feel comfortable with, that's not right, don't follow that direction. Stay the course.
Mm.
I also have a lot of faith, which comes from my parents as well. But why, after I really have now been in healthcare 35 years, probably longer. It's just, I have a passion for people who need help. It's in my DNA. And so when I look at how can I make a difference, I had thought about becoming a doctor. I had thought about becoming a nurse, and things just never kind of happen that way. So I
Mhm.
thought there's got to be another way that I can be influential in helping everyone, whether it's administration, on the clinical side, the patients themselves. There's got to be something that I can do to provide tools to people to get better. And my father suffered, I don't know if I even ever told you this, but my father had a number of different illnesses. And one of them, he actually had a number of bouts with cancer. And so, in particular, that just his resilience,
Yeah.
he's passed now, but to this day, he never gave up and always focused on doing the right things.
Mm.
And so I think about that and I go, I have a lot of energy. My husband says I have two speeds, sleep and go. And that's pretty true. It is true because that's me. I'm just like, go, 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 go. And then I just, I'm just a very energetic person that likes to help.
As a CIO with nearly 30 years experience being a CIO, as I said, in one of the largest health systems in Florida, if not the country, um, what other advice would you have for CIOs that the up and coming CIOs,
Mhm.
that are just maybe taking their first opportunities or first stints? How would you advise them?
Sure. I mean, I think that's a big question, and
I know.
I'll start with this. I think that if we're talking specifically about healthcare, I would answer it one way, but if we're talking about it more broad, maybe I should just talk broad and then talk specifically about healthcare, if
Sure.
that's okay.
Absolutely.
In our world of CIO and now of CDIOs, CIOs have traditionally basically done everything, right, under the technology realm, right? They do planning, building, and running, to use the old Gartner, model. Okay. Um, and I think that really has kind of it worked well till about maybe 10 years ago. When we started to see major shifts in technology towards the big digital transformation term, and now of course AI being at everyone's fingertips, and we're interacting in it whether we know we are or not.
Mm.
um, when I talk to young folks that I mentor, whether it's high school kids, college kids, community groups, or CIOs who have just started, or CIOs who are there as long as that I've been doing this 30 plus years, say it's very difficult, but we have to rethink how we think of this role.
Mhm.
We have built so many investments over decades now. It's almost impossible to think that one technology executive can handle the entire book of business. So, looking deeply at how the organization's IT operating model is put together is something that CIOs really need to think through. Do I want to be in the space that, perhaps I'm most comfortable, and that is supporting legacy investments? And that's super important. We need great people who do that.
Mm.
Or do I want to be in the space where it's all things digital, AI, because that's an entirely different mindset. And
Mm.
the organization counts on both of those roles equally as important. So
Mm.
I kind of, when I think in the more broad context, I'd say, um, think about, if are you a strategic digital executive leader,
Mm.
or are you someone who, is more of a traditionalist and, um, great with governance and managing day-to-day operations? Those are very important because from a career perspective, not understanding which path you would most succeed in to help your organization, that can sometimes create friction, trouble for yourself, challenges for yourself, and um, unnecessary, I think, problems, within an organization where you're trying to do so much and you
Mm.
don't want to fail, and you don't want to fail your organization. So the IT operating model, really knowing if you're going to be a strategic technology executive or more of a traditionalist, I think is very important whether you've been in the role forever and ever, amen, or you're just starting to get involved. That's from a broader perspective.
So you've led IT strategy during a period of explosive growth at Baptist Health, South Florida. As you said, you were part of, standing up the first cancer institute, the Miami Cancer Institute, correct?
Yes.
When you look at today's oncology service lines, how have you seen technology kind of transform those service lines? And what do you think today's oncology service lines in particular are kind of overwhelmed by, maybe?
It's a wonderful question, and there's so many oncology service lines, as you know. We've talked, a little bit about AI, and if you just look at medical oncology and infusion centers, right? Um, there's so much opportunity there from a technology standpoint, just in general with AI scheduling, capacity optimization, right? Chair utilization prediction, infusion times, all the complexities with drug preparation, right? To trying to use AI technology to reduce bottlenecks. There's so much opportunity there. When you look at AI driven data analytics, looking at things like drug utilization trends, and tying that to cost and reimbursement. What about the overall, patient journey? And, you and I are part of a brand new AI collective called Cipher that
Right.
that we have worked together with several other vendor partners to look at the patient journey. So, in particular, when it comes to oncology care, um, the work that Azra AI does is just is incredible when it comes to the overall patient journey. Um, in other areas outside of medical oncology, I think genomics and research is a huge one for AI automation. That where matches of mutations to clinical trials and therapies and AI recommended treatment pathways aligned with evidence. And again, just getting into all the AI driven data analytics, looking at financial analytics, like on cost effectiveness, right, of genomic guided treatments. I'm sure we could talk about this all day long, but I mean, surgical oncology, palliative care for me in particular, like I had mentioned with my dad, there's a tremendous amount that we can do to make a difference in this space. For example, symptom tracking, right? For AI, for AI monitoring patient messages, wearables, the pain control, depression, all of these um, things that AI can help with, like with chatbots, right? For supportive care navigation. I mean, it goes on and on and on, but I think across all of the oncology specialties, it's really the recipe of, artificial intelligence. I kind of think of it as it equals workflow automation and prediction. And then you have the analytics piece, right? Which is kind of like the insight and how do you measure? And then you take all of that together and you think about the impact that
Mm.
technology, specifically AI, will have in the future of oncology care. Um, and of course, for the finance folks out there, the ROI that's attached to that. Um, I mean, we could talk about all of this for like hours on end, right?
Hours, yeah.
It's
No,
so,
you're
um,
you're so right though, Mimi. And it's interesting. ECG, I think, has positioned themselves in a wonderful way, um, to the extent that I think, from my perspective, health systems are a bit overwhelmed by the complexity, the volume, variety, and velocity of change with AI solutions. And I think you mentioned the Cypher Collective, which we're certainly proud to be a part of. I think what health systems are really wanting, though, is a set of vetted solutions to have a greater sense of fidelity. I mean, you see that as they're forming more and more AI committees.
Mhm.
It's not enough to say you're an AI company. You have to be a partner and you have to be interested in the health system success, certainly, but you've got to be prepared to justify and explain and respond to the harder questions about bias and explainability and deliverability and scalability. And so someone like ECG is absolutely essential to that equation, to helping them kind of plot out what the future looks like and what technologies to take in and leverage and use. You almost, as you gave your answer, all I could think about is kind of your mantra, which is, when I read your bio, it was very clear you saw technology as an enabler, not the solution alone. And I think what I was hearing when you were giving your answer was technology plays a huge part, and it will continue to evolve and get more sophisticated. But you're always going to need those human professionals on the front lines delivering care, whether it's through care navigation or direct care, clinical care, and primary care. So, could you explain, is that what you mean when you say technology is an enabler, not the solution alone? What do you mean by that specifically?
I think a lot of the times, as whether it's CIO, CFO, CMIO, whoever, is looking at technology investments, many times I experienced it myself, with my prior organizations, and I see it today while I'm out and about with ECG, and that is that if businesses identify a problem, many times it seems to be easier, right, for that organization to just kind of throw a technology solution out there, right? Oh, I heard of this. Let's implement this, and that's going to solve my patient throughput problem.
Right.
Okay. Or my consumer and patient engagement scores, or my physician satisfaction scores. Okay, well, and how did we determine that? Have we looked at the workflows? Do we understand the root cause of the problems? Have we defined the problems that we are trying to solve and the associated challenges? Looking at these various technology solutions, as you say, that we all have vetted, through the Cypher Collective. But whatever the technology solution is, how have those potential solutions been evaluated against real use cases? What are the metrics that we're going to look at to ensure the success, right? So we talk about computer operating systems. Well, we have human operating systems too, right? And so when we think about technology, when I say, that's my mantra, it's we don't throw technology solutions. We investigate the root cause. We look at our workflows. We define metrics. We look at a set of solutions that can potentially help. Then we change workflows. We implement the technology solution with the right change management involving the appropriate interdisciplinary team of individuals to go after the goal, right? And it's a process. It really is a process. When we talk about patient journey, technology implementation is a journey that never ends. It requires constant sustainability and relook back. So that's what I mean by that. That's a very long-winded answer, but that is I've seen it happen so many times, and one of my missions, working for ECG, and this is core to ECG's, culture, is we are here to help and look at the picture in its entirety.
Yes.
And that's where, we and folks like Azra AI, come into play. Is we have a very concerted way that we approach technology and how we want to help organizations succeed.
I love it. Well, Mimi, you have been a terrific guest, and we're so honored to have you as our oncology hero. I'm so glad that Ralph Lawson took that chance because it really made a difference. And you reminded us today that even though someone may work with technology, there's a lot of heart behind it. So I'm really delighted to have gotten to speak to you. I have 6 lightning round questions, which I didn't share with you ahead of time, and I'd like to ask us of you now. You ready?
I'm ready. Go for it.
All right. So says the woman that wanted to be a CIA agent and an ambassador. So I'm pretty sure you're ready for anything. But
Go ahead.
um, what was the first piece of technology that you ever geeked out over? You
Geeked
remember?
out over, like I almost like fell over and went like, oh
Yeah.
my God. Oh, jeepers, creepers. Okay, so this is gonna sound really nerdy because it goes back. You asked the very first one. So
I
remember,
did. I
not,
did.
no, okay. I'm not like 25 or anything. So um Ernst& Young had, I helped develop it, a product called the All Payer Log System. And now it's, I think, called the Claims Management System. But basically, what I geeked out over was the ability to take managed care contracts and that are very, very complicated, as you know, particularly in oncology, model them and the are the organizations getting paid what they're supposed to be getting paid according to the contract, whether it's an underpayment or an overpayment, and then being able to use that same technology to play what if scenarios with some of the very first what if scenarios. This is in the late 80s. So, if we accepted these contract terms from XYZ payer, with these outliers and blah blah blah, with these DRGs, what would the financial pro forma look like out 5 years, assuming certain patient volumes and patient types and all of that stuff? So I know it's
See,
weird, very
no,
weird.
Mimi,
That's
that you could not have given a better answer. I thought you were gonna go for like a disc man, but or a Walkman. That is so cool that you were modeling. I mean, that's you're kind of the Ada Lovelace of your generation, I think. So, all right. Lightning round question number 2. What's a book that's inspired you?
oh, good
I know
grief.
there's been many, but what's one?
Well, it's a book and a movie. So it's like fiction. Well, it's not really fiction. It's real. Okay, Gone with the Wind.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
I know that's kind of a little bit out of our whatever realm here, and you're probably thinking of something more inspirational on the technology and business side, but I always admired Scarlett O'Hara and her she never gave up no matter what happened to that lady, whether you can reserve, opinion about whether or not she was a nice person or not a nice person, right? But, she would just keep going.
Resilience.
Spirit.
Resilience is such an admirable quality. The ability to adapt and overcome and keep going.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What was your first concert?
Bruce Springsteen, believe it or not. Yep. And that was probably in 85. And it was
Mhm.
at the New Jersey Meadowlands. And I think I was like 16 and I couldn't believe my mother let me go to the concert. But it was absolutely phenomenal. He played for like almost 5 hours and
That's
just
incredible. If you could have coffee with anyone in history or today, who would it be?
Amelia Earhart.
Oh,
I would love to have coffee with her almost for the same reasons as I love Gone with the Wind.
yeah.
Um, she just went for it, you know.
I think I know the answer to this, but beach, mountains, or city for your getaway?
Well, beach is me. I'm a beach goer. We do go to the mountains quite a bit, and I love that. Love to trout fish. I've been known to be seen in my waders in the Toccoa River up there in North Georgia. Um, but I if I were given my druthers, I would say, just let me sit on a beach with, and have the breeze in my hair and jump in the water and just hang out. Yeah.
I agree. You've already mentioned fishing. Is there a new hobby you're looking at?
A
That's the
new
last question.
one. My husband and I have been talking about doing ballroom dancing. Uh,
Ru-
Yep, that and maybe go and do the whole lesson thing like for salsa and just
I
kind
love
of
it.
get out there and do something a little crazy outside of
Absolutely.
fishing and yard work. We do a lot of yard work around here.
Oh yes, I can imagine. Well,
Yeah.
Mimi, I absolutely enjoyed this. We're honored to have you as our oncology hero this month, and we wish you the very best. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jason, and take care.